Welcome to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harold Jr. Brought to you by Advanced Rehab, Pristine Water, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Sinorama, and by the Copper Pig. Now here is your host, Mr. Brunswick High, Kip Branch.
Welcome to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harold on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I am Kip Branch on location at the Copper Pig, where we will be each and every week on Thursday nights at 6 for the entire season. This segment of the Larry Harold Show is sponsored by the Copper Pig, Advanced Rehab, Pristine Water, Bruce Kennedy Tire, and by Sinorama. Now joining us, head coach of the Brunswick High Pirates, Coach Larry Harold.
How you doing, Kip?
Doing fine, Coach, on this rainy night at the Copper Pig, and got a hurricane brewing in the Atlantic, and tomorrow night we're going to carry a hurricane up to South Effingham to the corral. What do you think about that?
I love it. I love it. We the rally cry all week from the kids and the coach just win. You know, we just want to feel like to taste victory again. We haven't tasted since August. We had a drought in September, and now we're ready for this abundance of rain that happened for us in October.
Coach, let's reflect back last Friday night, Glenn County Stadium. Statesboro comes in here, and we come up on the short end of a 7-6 score, and it just seemed like anything that could go wrong went wrong. Brandon Jernigan gets hurt. Sean Smith tweaks his ankle, and just one of those deals where if it wasn't for any breaks, if it wasn't for bad breaks, we wouldn't have no breaks at all.
Yeah. It's one of those deals where, second series, your leader goes down, and later on when you insert Sean Smith in quarterback, he tweaked his ankle on a touchdown. So like you said, but I was so proud of the guys for continuing to fight. The O-line at halftime took it upon themselves and tell the sophomore, Alonzo Brown, that, we got you, support you. The defense rallied around and said, we're going to hold these guys down. And, that's what building a championship program is all about. You have to fail before you learn to succeed. So, I just think we'll grow so much from these agonizing defeats in adverse situations that we're going through.
Coach, talk a little bit about that defense last Friday night. Probably the best effort that I've seen all season. Game tackling, got to the ball quick. Statesboro power running team. We held that offense to 160 yards, I think, total offense for the whole entire game. They had that one little drive in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter that got their touchdown. But other than that, we shut them down.
Yeah. And like we've been saying, I'm really proud of our defensive coaches for just continuing to preach, 11 hats to the ball, relentless effort, improved tackling, and the kids responded well. We knew that everybody's game plan was to run the ball on us and not have to throw it. And we were able to force them into some long yardage situations. And when they did throw, we were able to pick it out of the air. So, that'll be the same game plan going into this week when we go to South Effingham. And I just really am proud of my linebackers and my D-line for just controlling the line of scrimmage the way they did and limiting that running. And that running back from Statesboro is very, very good. Probably one of the better running backs in our region. So to contain him like we did was really pleasing to me as a head coach.
This is the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harold on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Coach, talk a little bit about our secondary. You were mentioning earlier before the show that there was a nice write-up in the Brunswick News about them today. Made some fantastic plays last week. That play Kawan Chapman made was, that's like a highlight film play. And Skylar Baggs doing his usual thing back there. When people throw the ball down the middle of the field, there's a good chance that Skylar Baggs is going to pick it off.
Yeah, he's an intimidating figure person back there. 6'3", 186, can jump out the gym. And just I love the way our defensive backs feel like when the ball's in the air, it's just as much ours as the receivers. Like you said, Quan Chapman is dropping back into cover 3 coverage. She sees the short throw and driving the ground. That makes a terrific play. And if the quarterback really puts the ball where it should have been, he stands up and probably takes it back to 6. So, like I said, I just see tremendous growth each and every week. And, there were a couple of clips on the film this week where our defensive coordinator commented how at the end of every play they can see 11 hats around the tackler. And that's what it's going to take, each and every week, is that these kids are buying into the fact that, one person can't make the play. We have to do it as a team.
Coach, I noticed your linebackers. I saw a little bit of film. You let me come in there a little bit and watch some film from time to time. I noticed that our linebackers this past week against Statesboro, they didn't get caught up in the clutter or the traffic. They were reading their keys, and they got to where they were supposed to be, and it shut down that running game for Statesboro.
Yeah, we got some real athletic linebackers, and it really is about reads. Coach Lockett is our inside linebacker coach. He played inside linebacker at Alabama State. So the fact that he played the linebacker position on a collegiate level, he could tell them different things to look for. And just basically checking their gaps, pursuing the right angle, scraping down the line as we call it. And Cam Futch has turned into a tremendous player where he diagnosed the play so fast that he's beating the other young linebacker to the ball who's ahead of him. And that's all it's about, is training your eyes, whatever your key is, whether it's the guard or the center or the running back, that, once you read your key, you see ball, go get ball. And that's what Coach is teaching them. And they're really, selling into it. The fact that they didn't come out timid was a big factor, too, that we came out and really struck people. So, we're beginning to play what we would like to call Brunswick high football, fast, physical, and furious.
Coach, defensive line last week probably played the best game they played all season. They were really standing up the Statesboro offensive line, getting the push, creating lanes for the linebackers to run through, and just played really well. Reggie Jackson, Gunnar Gentry, all those guys looked like they had their best games of the season last Friday.
Yeah, another big surprise is Jeremy Small, who played linebacker for Brunswick last year. We moved him down just to create more speed on the line. Another guy, Jagarion Marcus, just a sophomore, really getting his first varsity action, made tremendous play. I think he had 7 tackles. You mentioned Gunnar Gentry, also Kareem Screven, a big plugger. Move from offensive line back to defensive line. So the line of scrimmage is where the game is won and lost. And if we can continue to penetrate and allow our linebackers to scrape and make tackles freely, again, we'll continue to see the success in October that we didn't see in September.
More to come on the Larry Harrell Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Right now, these words from our sponsors.
Best barbecue and smokehouse in Glenn County? The Copper Pig. Located at 704 Mall Boulevard. Local meat and produce markets, live gators for the kiddos to feed, mechanical pig, a $1.99 drink menu, and so much more. From barbecue to steak, you won't find it any better than at the Copper Pig. 912-289-9880. The Copper Pig is your proud home for the Larry Harrell Coaches Show all season long. Thursday nights at 6 p.m. and go Pirates! That back won't stop aching or that knee won't stop throbbing? Your answer is Advanced Rehabilitation and their staff of professionals. Locations in Brunswick and on St. Simons for your convenience. Go to the place that is trusted by student athletes all over the Golden Isles as well as professional athletes. Advanced Rehabilitation specializes in neuro and orthopedics and will have you back in the game in no time. Find a clinic near you, physicaltherapygeorgia.com. Bruce Kennedy Tire is your hometown destination for tires. Michelin, Goodyear, and all the brands you trust. But don't let the name fool you. Bruce Kennedy Tire, located at 2928 Norwood Street, does more than just tires. Brakes, alignments, repair work, and more than I can mention. Bruce Kennedy is locally owned and operated, so you get the best service in Glenn County. So give Bruce a call at 912-264-6578. Bruce Kennedy Tire, a name you can trust.
Welcome back to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harrell on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Advocate branch on location from the Copper Pig. This segment is brought to you by the Copper Pig Advanced Rehab and by Bruce Kennedy Tire. Coach, last week, on offense we had the injury to our quarterback, second drive of the game. But on that second drive, that offense was clicking with a power running game, as we like to refer to on this show. We had that power running game going. We were gashing those guys up the middle. We could do the zone read. We ran and keep it outside. They didn't know what was coming. Offense looked really good on that second drive, then disaster strikes.
Yeah. Like I said, the offensive line, it's amazing how far they've come since we shuffled everything. I think after the Glenn game, young Warren McClendon was playing lights out. John Kano, Ty Henson, Chad Matthews. I mean, it's just a cohesiveness, of course, Big Dimmer. And just to see the joy that they're getting out of driving people off the ball, comboing the linebackers. Zone block is all about cohesiveness of, two guys working together on the side, working a man, and reading where the linebacker's trying to fit in. And they just did a good job. And then our backs, Shaq and Ben really ran the ball hard. I mean, that was the best game that I've been saying all season. We got two good backs, and I give people try to hear me, but I think they got to see a flash of it last week. We ran really hard, and as it comes together, people will really see the benefits of it.
Coach, let me reiterate this one more time. We are starting 2 sophomores and a freshman on our offensive line, and I know enough about football to know that when you're playing young people, skill positions are easier to play than positions like offensive line. Just elaborate a little bit more about how pleased you are with that group, how they're coming along, being how young they are.
Well, kudos goes to Coach Ryan McKenzie, the offensive line coach. I've been saying since day one, he's one of the best offensive line coaches in the business. And being an offensive line coach, what he's done is build confidence in them. When you're a freshman, like Warren McClendon, who came from, I think, Costa Rica, to come and play 5A football and bang with those big bodies is intimidating. And he's so mature mentally. When he catches up physically, we're talking about a freshman at 6'3", 55 pounds. As he begins to put on muscle weight and begins to get stronger, it's only going to get better. The thing about a freshman, one day it'll be a sophomore, one day a sophomore will be a junior, and so forth and so on. John Kano moves from tackle to guard, where you have to be physical in this region. You want to get bigger bodies, and because of our zone scheme, he's using his speed and his feet more. Same thing with Ty Henson. Just making calls in his system and calling out the fronts and where they should be sliding and protecting and zone blocking. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're very young up front, but just the confidence that they're gaining is going to be so monumental coming down the road. And again, we talk about process, we talk about embracing the process, we talk about the grind, and just progressively getting better. And that's what it's about. And I see it every week out of these guys, to watch them watch film and see them get excited about driving people. I'm a former offensive lineman. I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it. They're excited about driving people up the ball. And as they get bigger and stronger, it's only going to get worse.
You're listening to the Larry Harrell Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Coach, last week with the injuries were very limited on offense. You had to put a kid, Alonzo Brown, in there to play quarterback that has never had any varsity action before. Barely any reps in practice with the varsity first teamers. And just talk a little bit about how you were pleased with that young man coming in. He ran the ball pretty good on some zone reads. He did everything that you asked him to do. Just comment a little bit about how pleased you were with him being thrown into that situation and just how limited we were on offense with all the injuries last week.
Yeah, when you talk about this game of football, we have a lot of adults that expect a lot of kids. And the thing that I have to do as a coach is, I'm also a teacher, so I know about early childhood development, and everybody develops at different stages. I don't know how many people could change their position. They're 14, 15 years old, ran at the same age, go in front of a crowd full of people with, big, strong guys on the other side of the ball trying to, tear your head off, and try to be calm and be able to execute. And I was proud of that kid. I mean, he didn't have any shakiness in his eyes. He was assertive. He was barking out calls. And I'm just so proud of him. He had an even better day this week. and the guys are rallying around him and just letting him know, relax, we got you. And that's only going to bring us closer together as a team. That in a brotherhood, when one person goes down, we pick each other up, close up the gap, and we keep marching forward. And it's only going to help, to be able to get him his valuable game reps. It's going to help us develop that second quarterback that we need, and especially in 5A, because injuries happen all the time, as we can see. So, you never just want to rely on one guy. And I'm just so proud of that young man. He's been dealing with a lot. Maybe people know or don't know, he just lost his father, last week. And the kid, that's why I say these kids are so resilient. And people don't know these stories. And I don't think they would be as critical on them or of them or these coaches if they knew the things you had to battle through to get the job done.
Coach, key point during the second quarter, we get a turnover on defense. We take the ball on the Statesboro 40-yard line. We come in with all these kids that haven't played any varsity football before, and we drive the football. I think it was a 13-play, 40-yard drive, and we punch it in the end zone. How pleased were you with that drive?
Very pleased, because again, how easy would it have been for the kid to say, hey, we lost our quarterback, we lost our leader, we don't have no chance, let's pack up the team. It's very easy, and there are a lot of teams that have done it. But, I talked to a guy earlier that he just was commenting on coaching kids have a never say die attitude that you continue to fight. And again, that's what championship teams are built off of adversity, of not getting that. This game is so, life is like that, unpredictable. The last couple of weeks we've gone into, the game with a game plan, and something, erratic happens. And now the game plan goes completely out the door. I mean, everything that we read last week goes out the door once raining goes down. Now you're in straight survival mode. And our defense was playing the ball so good that, you didn't want it all. I feel like if we didn't turn the ball over, that we would be fine. We'd be able to hold on for the victory. Other than the one big play, it pretty much stayed, held true.
Coach, talk about last week when you go into halftime. We go into halftime with a 6-0 lead. What was the mood like in the locker room?
Very spirited. I mean, I know people, just come by our practices and you'll see somebody commenting the other day, Coach, you would think y'all were 5-0 the way the kids are running around in spirited. And that's what I love again about these kids, going through all these adversities off the field, but still coming and putting in the work every day in the weight room, in the film room, in the classroom. We started our tutoring and study hall in the morning. The kids are showing up. That's successful. So all these little things, again, that are going on the inside will eventually produce on the outside and we'll get the results on the scoreboard. I feel like we're growing so much as a coach that the stuff, the results that people can't see, they only want to see the stuff on the scoreboard on Friday night, but that takes time and it's going to happen. And I'm just blessed to be around a good group of supportive coaches that support me, a good group of young men, and guys like yourself in the community that, you always give me a kind word, always give me an encouraging word, and let me know, Coach, I see the progress, and we're going to keep going. And it really helps us out at any rate.
We'll be right back to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harold on the Bishop Media Sports Network.
Your go-to for your business's sign, Signorama, located at 5701 Altama, has everything you need. Flyers, business cards, banners, wraps, decals, lettering, displays, and so much more. 912-265-6463 or online at www.signorama.com. Locally owned and operated, Signorama is a proud supporter of Glenn County Athletics, and let's go Pirates! Pristine Water is your destination for pools, spas, and pool supplies. From installation to maintenance, Pristine Water is your best choice in all of Southeast Georgia for your next pool or spa. Give Pristine Water a call at 912-264-9233 for a free estimate, or stop on in at 166 Key Circle Drive, or check Pristine Water out online at pristinewaterandpools.com. And go Pirates!
Welcome back to the Brunswick High Pirates Coaching Show with head coach Larry Harold on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kip Branson on location at the Copper Pig. This segment is brought to you by Pristine Water and Signorama. Coach, in the second half of that football game, we come out, we're up 6-0. would pretty much dominate the second half, and they get that one drive late in the third quarter, and they go down. They scored a 50-yard touchdown run, and they go up 7-6. And then after that, we got the ball back a couple of times, and we just continued to fight, and just the breaks just didn't go our way. Talk a little bit about the second half, and then talk about the mood in the locker room after that football game.
Again, thought the kids were resilient. Just like you said, continue to fight. Thought the defense kind of took ownership of the game and basically said, we're going to pull this one out. And I think, a blitz was called, and it was just a perfect storm. They blocked it the right way, and the guy was able to hit it. And that guy runs real hard. He doesn't hit or jerk. I mean, he gets downfield really, really fast. But like I said, I was proud of the kids. After the game, I mean, they were hurt. They were hurt. I mean, to be that close, we haven't won all September. It's like you can feel it, you can taste it, and it's just ripped from our fingers. And, I really felt bad for them. They were crying, and the emotional breakdown I thought that happened between us, our coaches, and them was the fact that they felt like, we would have played harder, we could have won. And as a coach, you just feel so proud because you feel like you're making emotional connections. Football's an emotional game. And, unless you love the person and have some type of feeling for the person that you're playing with and playing for, and that's why I preach all the time about relationships. The game is going to come and go. We'll all, be too old or get hurt or we can't play. But those relationships that these young men are building and the bonds between their coaches are going to last forever.
Coach, talk a little bit about practice this week. I mean, after two gut-wrenching losses the last 2 weeks against teams that we thought we were probably going to beat, personally came out to practice, made a point to stop by practice for a few minutes on the past 2 Mondays, and the enthusiasm level at practice. You would think, like you said earlier, you would think we're 5-0 instead of 1-4, and that's a testament to these kids. And on Monday there was a lot of flying around, a lot of jumping around in practice. Just talk about that a little bit more.
I think it's easy because, again, if you were out there and you were progressively getting worse, but for these kids to watch the film and noticing that every time we watch the film, you've been in our film session, we show them if you would have stepped here, if you would have caught this better each day, and we're not making the same mistakes, kid. That's what I'm so excited about. If you were making the same mistake over and over, I would be discouraged, but it's something different. And that's what they're feeding off of. And a lot of our kids are visual learners, and to see the progress, I think it's encouraging. And, we have some positive coaches that continue to tell them, fight through, adversity and different things, and they're buying into it.
This is the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harrell on the Bishop Media Sports Network on a rainy night at the Copper Pig. By the way, we just had emergency vehicles pass by us, so we're afraid that nobody's hurt. So it's just just one of those nights here tonight. Coach, we play South Effingham tomorrow night in Guyton, Georgia. We got to travel up, and they call their stadium the Corral. We went there in 2009 and beat them, our only trip to the Corral, and we're going to make that return trip tomorrow night. Talk a little bit about South Effingham. They're 4-0, had a bye week to get ready for us. They're undefeated, and they're riding high, and they think they have a good football team. Talk a little bit about them.
Well, again, they're 4-0. And they're a program, and speaking to several coaches that are beginning to believe. I think they had some earlier struggles in the year, in the prior years, and now they have some senior leadership, and they're believing. And a testament to that was when they were down against Statesboro, 14-0 early, and they kept fighting, fought back for the 35-28 victory, I believe. To see them play the big rivalry against Effingham County and beat them, in a close game. Football's a game of inches, and what they're doing is capitalizing on turnovers, playing good defense, and allowing their quarterback to make big plays for them in the passing game as well as the running game.
They came to Brunswick last year, and that was probably, we beat them 20-8 last year at Glenn County Stadium. They led the whole entire game 8-7. That probably was one of the most physical football games that I saw all last football season. Talk a little bit about how physical they are, especially on defense, and they understand they have a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, that same quarterback, I think, they were leading the whole game. I think they threw 2 picks, in the fourth quarter that, kind of sealed the deal. And, so again, they embraced the process, and now they're reaping some of the benefits of it. Again, that quarterback is real heady, makes great decisions, has the looseness. He's a big kid, hard to get on the ground, and he breaks a lot of tackles. And once he breaks tackles, he puts his eyes downfield trying to get the ball to the playmaker. So on the defense side of the ball, they're very physical. They blitz a lot and just try to create turnovers, and then they capitalize on turnovers on offense.
Coach, any comments you want to make to our fans and fans that are traveling up to the game tomorrow, maybe listening to the radio? I know we're 1-4, and it's easy for people to jump off the bandwagon, and most of the Pirate Nation's true to the colors, but you've got a few that when things go bad, they like to throw everything and everybody under the bus. Just talk a little bit about that.
Well, the thing is when you come into any new situation, anything looks shiny. People get excited, and like we said when we first got here at our meet and greet, it's a plan. It was a 3 to 5 year plan, and that you have to embrace the fact that as you're cultivating this talent and creating a culture, that you're going to have some struggles. And I'm really beginning to see, adversity shows the true character of a man. And I'm beginning to see, the character of my coaches, the character of, my administrators, our true supporters, our student body has been great. They came out last week, had a great student section. And they're rallying around these kids to continue, to be positive. I walked out the gym last week, and, the kids would say, come on, coach, we're going to get this one. And it just feels good as a coach to see, the student body come out and support us like that, have administrators, wishing us luck and stuff. So, I understand the frustration from people. I understand, we're all competitive. I want to win. Nobody's more invested than me and my coaches in it. We spend countless hours, after Sunday church. A lot of us run straight to the office and spend, 6-7 hours in the film room trying to get ready for that game. So, just bear with us. Don't lose patience. And best of all, embrace these kids, man. Like I said, you got a young man like Alonzo Brown who's going through so much tragedy. Terrell Carmine and different ones. But they still are fighting the good fight. And that's what we ought to commend those kids on, because life isn't fair. And how can we teach them perseverance if you bail on them at the first sign of trouble? So, again, Pirate fans, come support our kids. We're going to continue to grow, continue to get better. And as I always say, go Pirates.
Thanks for joining us for the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harold on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Come out to the Copper Pig and join us every Thursday night for the Coach Larry Harold Show. I'm Kip Branch signing off, and like Coach said, go Pirates.